Hi. Okay, so uh, I watched the silent film, a John Barrymore silent film. So I'm excited for this one. Um, this is from 1920, 79 minutes long. It is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is one of my favorite Robert Louise Stevenson books. I was kind of heartbroken when I got rid of the book this last summer. Yeah, of all things that I had to get rid of. But yeah, I'm still kind of like in that whole thing of why did I do that? But we still have a copy over here, so I can read it. So 1920, it's a Paramount film. And let's see. As I try to get everything because I didn't really read anything before I started doing this. Okay, I can talk about that. So, we all know the story of Jekyll and Hyde. So I'm not really going to go into detail with that. There are a few tweaks in it. And I'm pretty sure it's for the sake of, like in, oh gosh, what? The Sheik. See, the Sheik and Son of the Sheik, there were things that the censor said couldn't be in. And so there were things that were changed. So I have a feeling that there were things that were tweaked for that reason. And but yeah, I kind of thought so. So one of the things is the character. What's interesting about this, so before you guys freak out, those of you that are big fans of the book, Millicent, I think it's said Carewe, is not in the book. Now, before there's like this rampage or this big tantrum, much like when Toriel was in The Hobbit, like that didn't need to be in. There is an 1887 stage version by Thomas Russell, Sullivan, and this film version used that stage concept. So, which the stage concept is, I saw a couple years ago now, because it came to Portland, and I saw a commercial. Seeing this and seeing the commercial it's changed, and I don't like it. I don't think it's what Thomas Russell Sullivan released, but anyway. So, like I said, I'm not going to go into massive detail about the story. I will put information on the play so that you can look at that and get more of an idea. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's been updated quite a bit. But yeah. Now they're just romanticizing the story, and it's like, this is not what Robert Louise Stevenson had in mind. Nita Naldi is in this film. She was actually friends with John Barrymore. He was one that Hollywood tried, at the time, they tried to say that she was romantically involved with John Barrymore as well as Rudolph Valentino, but there was absolutely no proof of it. His second wife, Rudolph Valentino, his second wife, didn't like a lot of the women that he worked with, except she liked Nita Naldi for some reason, except after the divorce. Then all of a sudden she didn't like Nita Naldi anymore. So, but it happens a lot of times with divorces, friendships sour. So, now it says here that after Nita Naldi died in 1961, it was said that John Barrymore was the one that got her the part in the film because he saw her dancing. But maybe that's true. I mean, this is 1920, and I don't know when their friendship started. So, but I don't know. I would go on. He helped her get the part because of their friendship. I mean, she was known for playing those vamp parts. I mean, we know that Theda Bara was very popular for those parts, and she played them very well. But she wasn't the only one. Nita Naldi played those parts. And, because we saw it in Blood and Sand with Valentino, and this is another one. And she does dance in this film, and so this film, well, before I get into how it was received, yes, the Barrymores. This is an ancestor of Drew Barrymore. The Barrymores have been in the entertainment industry since like the 1850s, I think is what I remember. John Barrymore, oh man, John and Ethel Barrymore were like the most famous towards the turn of the century. And I think John Barrymore was the one that played Hamlet. Yeah, he was. So, but anyway, just in, and that's more. But, when it comes to the transition of Jekyll and Hyde, there is a thing here. Now, he drinks the serum, and he does get over dramatic and everything, and it's like he drinks it, and then all of a sudden, instantly, it starts taking effect, and he's going into hysterics and everything. It was a little over the top, but you have to remember, this is 1920. He had to dramatize what was happening. There was no sound. You couldn't. So, for as silly as it may seem, and for as quickly as it seemed to take effect, because I am giving it a pass, for as silly and goofy as it seemed, this is serum. It's not poison. So there is that. The transformation sequence was pretty seamless. I mean, for 1920s standards, you gotta remember, this is no CGI. And so the transformation sequence was very well done. So, because I've seen these others where, they change and everything, and they change from person to monster or something like that. And you have kind of a pause because the screen is changing. They're trying to put the cell over or something. And there wasn't there wasn't that at all. So they really worked hard to make sure that it ran seamlessly. And I'm interested to know where they got inspiration for Mr. Hyde, because you kind of get a flavor of Lon Chaney Sr. and some of the characters that he played in certain ways. But I will tell you this, if you've ever seen that Bugs Bunny where they have the chemist that's I think it's the Jekyll and Hyde, and when he becomes Mr. Hyde, I'm pretty sure that this is the inspiration for that. So it says here that the early part of Jekyll's initial transformation into Hyde was achieved with no makeup, relying solely on Barrymore's ability to contort his face and body. In one scene, as Hyde reverts to Jekyll, one of Hyde's prosthetic fingers can be seen flying across the screen, having been shaken loose by Barrymore's convulsions. And I didn't see that, but I wasn't really looking for it. But for the characters that we've seen of Lon Chaney, which I think we've done two, it's Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame. And then I've seen pictures of his other, he was the man of 1,000 faces. That was his name in Hollywood, because he did so many of these horror films, when you see Mr. Hyde, I have a feeling that they took different ideas for, but yeah. From Lon Chaney. I don't remember when he died. And this is a perfect example of, while I was watching, I was realizing that this is a perfect example of seeing someone who, uh, in the early film industry, you still had like vaudeville and Broadway, and seeing someone transition into film. Well, John Barrymore was very well known for his Shakespeare. And seeing these people transition into film. Oh, I'm everywhere right now. John Barry. Yeah, Richard the Third and Justice and Hamlet. I mean, some others would be like, oh, we've done so many. But even Bob Hope, he started in like vaudeville and comic theater, and then ended up in film and radio. Oh, goodness. So, but this one, when you see someone who is well known in theater, and then to see them portray a well known character like this, it's really interesting. And I was very impressed um, with his portrayal. You know, I love this book. Absolutely love the book. And as for the play, I would rather see the 1887 version of the play, because I think it's been butchered now. Because the commercial that I saw 2 years ago, it's obvious that they are romanticizing the crap out of it. They are relying too much on the romantic aspect of it. And it's like, you do know what this story is actually about, right? Yeah. Because when you watch this, there is a romance in it, and yeah, there are two women in it, but it's not plaguing the story like what that play was that I saw in the commercial. Yeah, no, they have totally destroyed. If it's the same play that's based off of Thomas Russell Sullivan's, then he's rolling in his grave right now. What have you done with my play? They need to pull it way, way back. Or you just watch the silent film. Because, yeah, because I was watching it and I'm like, well, I can understand tweaking it and everything, and, for purposes of film. And so when I was reading this, and it says that there was a stage version, and I was like, oh no. But when I read about the stage version, which I'll put in the description and everything, pretty much the stage version is what they decided to go with. But you know what? The stage version is just a few tweaks. I mean, what they're saying here is the character of Millicent was not in the original story. Well, I knew that. Just like I was saying in Tolkien's The Hobbit, well, when that movie came out and everyone's like, wait a minute, Tauriel is not in the book. Yeah, Legolas wasn't in The Hobbit either. I loved all those fans that were like rioting, and it's like, obviously you didn't read the book because Legolas wasn't in there either. Busted. I love people that get on their soapbox and it's like, I'm sorry, but you lose. And I laugh at that because I've been there. I've been one of those stupid people. That was when I was in high school. I was trying to be cool and it didn't work. But anyway, so when this movie came out in 1920, now that we've talked about the theater aspect, like I said, I'll put everything in the description so you can see about Thomas Russell Sullivan's play. When it came out, film critics and those who are fans of the book, it received high marks, but mainly because of John Barrymore. A fine and dignified presentation and an excellent performance by Barrymore. Except the plot itself was said to be absurd. One particular paper said the story itself was ridiculous, judged by modern standards, but that doesn't alter its value as a medium for Mr. Barrymore. As a handsome young Dr. Jekyll, his natural beauty of form and feature stand him in good stead, and he offers a marvelous depiction of bestiality in the transformed personality of Mr. Hyde. Is that the right word? Yeah, bestiality. And no, it's not dirty, go look it up. Yet he was always Jack Barrymore, which is the most adverse comment that could be made upon production. So pretty much he carried the film. The reason that it did so well was because of him. But they were saying that the plot itself was just kind of stupid. I mean, and you know, basing a movie off of a play is hit or miss. You never know how it's going to work. Much like what I said with Harvey. Or like what I said with Arsenic and Old Lace. Well, with Harvey, you expected to see Jimmy Stewart. And you expected to see... Oh, I wish I could remember her name. I'm going to look it up. Okay. Yeah. Because she did quite a few movies. What was her name? Josephine Hall. I can't believe I forgot her name. She was also in Arsenic and Old Lace in the movie. She played one of the aunts. But those two, Jimmy Stewart and Josephine Hall, were in the play. Well, playgoers expected to see them when the movie came out, so of course they were in the movie. Well, with Arsenic and Old Lace, it had been going for some time. It was on TV. Hallmark Channel's been around forever. So I saw like the 50s version. Had Boris Karloff in it. It was kind of funny to hear him deliver the line, "They said I look like Boris Karloff." It was not... I mean, when you expect to see Cary Grant... one of my friends said that Cary Grant's reactions and his facial features just made the movie. Well, he's right. So the gentleman that they had in the movie, nothing against anyone else that was in the movie or anything with Boris Karloff, it just didn't do it, you know? I know that Bela Lugosi was in a production of Arsenic and Old Lace. So it's just been... So I think... Was she in... Was Josephine? Seems like she was. She... It doesn't say Broadway performances. Watch, I'll be completely wrong. I don't mind. Oh, she was. Okay. I didn't know that was a play. You can't take it with you. That's another fun one. I'll talk about that in another one. So anyway, pretty much... So the film for Jekyll and Hyde, the only reason people liked it was John Barrymore. And if you've ever seen pictures of John Barrymore, he is a nice looking young man. So anyway, let's see, is there anything else? Wow, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 92%. That's interesting. So anyway, for those of you that absolutely love, like I do, Robert Louise Stevenson's book, it's actually based off of a play that's based off of his book. I will again put everything in the description concerning that. And then it stars John Barrymore. Nita Naldi is in it. Yeah, they're the two big names that I really know. But I will, of course, put the cast like I usually do. And 79 minutes. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, if I remember. Or not. And it was released in 1920. And really, when it was released, the only thing that really kept it going was John Barrymore. But yeah, that is the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.